So, I was yesterday years old when I got to know that if you are a magician performing magic tricks, you need to be at your 100% health. And if there are magicians who are doing it even when they are, semi ill or, not in their full capacity, big respects because I don't know how you do it. It's crazy. So, as a performing musician, I understand because a certain level of muscle memory comes into play. Even if you're sick, you can rely on your muscle memory and just let it flow. That cannot work with magic. So, here's what happened. I was at a restaurant, I came there to eat, and I was still having the cold and all. Like, I wasn't this bad, but I was still, in the process of falling ill. So somebody asked me if they can show me a trick, and I was showing a bunch of them, the staff over there at the restaurant, some magic trick. And when I was showing them the magic trick, and once I hit the beat point, I did not get any reaction. Like usually, I have people reacting like crazy, and it took me a while to process what just happened. There is always a communication gap that forms somewhere in between if you do not convey your narrative well. With magicians, it's not about the setup, it's not about the diversion, it's not about the technical side. I always tell people that it's always about the narrative. The biggest power a magician has happens to be the narrative. So, if you can convince the person standing opposite that your narrative is foolproof, then your trick functions, your trick works. To convince the other person, your mind should also function. You cannot rely on technical skills alone. I understand you might see videos there where there are visual tricks, and you look at the visual trick and go like, "Oh wow, that's impressive, dude." But the problem is when you're showing such tricks to people, people may not realize that on that spot, and they're seeing stuff, but they won't really process it. So to help them process, you explain a narrative. A longer trick requires you to explain. That is where I realized I did not pull off the tricks well. And I show them this and I have silence because they didn't understand what the trick was. And I didn't do my due diligence of actually delivering the trick properly or narrating it properly. And that's probably why there was literally no reaction from them. It was such a sad moment even for me. I was like, I mean, the trick works. It's not like they spotted something. It's not like they had a problem with something. And every trick I showed, it got worse. Every trick that followed, they had even worse reactions. So, what I'm trying to tell people, what I'm trying to tell you guys is that with magic, I cannot rely on my muscle memory. I need to be in full health. My brain needs to process stuff quick because there are things that I would do on the go. And I think every magician is a jazz musician. You need to think on your feet and you need to improvise on spot. Like if you have like 15, 20 different ways you can control cards, you need to think on your feet quickly and process that and start doing that functionality before they notice it. That's where your sleight comes into play. Sleight of hand requires you to ensure that you are in your full health, or else you are going to lose the plot. You're now going to process what you should be doing next, because there are two three conversations that happens in your head when you're doing a magic trick and when you're showcasing it to somebody. One is a conversation with yourself, reiterating the beat points of, okay, you've hit this part, next is this, next is this, next is this. And the other is a conversation you're having with this person, and it has to be an active conversation. You cannot just say, hey, hi, your name is, whatever, say Mahesh. Mahesh, so what school did you study in? Okay, did you pick the card? You are making small talk, but the small talk has to be relevant. It has to matter. It takes a certain level of skill. I am still trying to develop that. So if you're doing this to a stranger, you need to identify that. You need to speak to them. You need to actually form a certain bond where you're actively paying attention to them. At the same time, your mind has to process this conversation you're having with yourself. Okay, we've hit this point, let's move to the next one. And there is the third conversation that you're having, which is your mind to your hand when you're doing the slide. This conversation can go horribly wrong. And I realized that yesterday. It can go horribly wrong when you're not in your full health. So it was not just at the restaurant. I experienced this earlier during the day as well when I was showing the trick to somebody else. Since my brain wasn't able to process things, I ended up having very, very shoddy reactions. Yes, if you wanted to know something about me, about something that I'm learning right now, which is magic and cardistry, now you know something that I got to learn. I hope it helps other people who are magicians as well. I don't know, man. I'm a noob, so I don't know how much it'll help another noob. But yeah, if it helps you, it helps you, dude. Yeah, I'll see you on another one. Bye bye. I'm resting today, dude. I'm just going to sleep. Bye.